Okay. Fine. Shubham, we're coming back to you for more stocks. Let's get Siddharth Bhambre as well into this conversation. Siddharth, what's the trade on the Nifty today?
Good morning, Lata. We are not very optimistic on this market. In a sense, I'm not saying that this market doesn't have more room to go up from current levels, but a sustainable upside is quite unlikely. So we have seen, Lata, that how yesterday best of brains in this markets are talking about 12%, 15% return in this market from 1 year period. Clearly, in such kind of scenarios, you get market at both the ends. When I'm trying to say both the ends, in the sense you will get long ideas, you will get short ideas also in Nifty and Bank Nifty. So we are in a range-bound market with negative bias, with FI's liquidity hard to come by. So when market has given a 300 points bounce from lower levels, as a positional trader, you should not go long after this bounce. Either you go short at higher levels of 8100, 8150 if market gives indications, or if it again comes back to say 7750, 7600, then you can think of. So right now, from a positional trade perspective, Nifty is in a no trade zone. Also, if you look at we are hardly talking about monetary policy. We have a monetary policy today, and implied volatility has decreased. So it's kind of non-event. I don't know if governor may surprise by 25 basis cut, and market may immediately go to 81, 8150, and then probably a sell call can be generated. Otherwise, I don't see any trade in Nifty happening anytime soon.
Okay, and we don't see any rate cut happening anytime soon either. But Siddharth, let's talk about some of your short calls that you have.
Don't write off anything, because last time was such a big surprise. Yeah. So we can keep that 1% that Siddharth is telling us. Looks very unlikely ahead of a Fed rate hike. But, with this governor, almost every policy has been a shock and awe. So let's wait.
All right. Yes, he does have a reputation for that. But I guess today doesn't make sense to cut rates ahead of the Fed policy. But let's see. Siddharth, you have a couple of short calls. So let's start off with your short on Reliance.
So Reliance had showed good rollovers of long positions, and recent rally was quite significant from lower levels. It did manage to retrace back to cover that gap, and again rally was quite good and took it to the resistance zone of 980,000. From there we have seen 2 days correction, Sonia, and mind you, this correction is happening with decent formation of short positions, and these are fresh shorts. We suggest to go short in Reliance at current levels or near resistance of 980 or so. We don't have very aggressive price targets. Right now I'm expecting 4 to 5% downfall, which can bring counter to 930, 928 odd levels. So fixed stops somewhere around 983 and go short in Reliance.
Okay. Is there a separate trade on the Bank Nifty, Siddharth, or is that also no trade zone?
Lata, last week we initiated short in Bank Nifty futures with a stop somewhere around 17,460. That got triggered, but we haven't seen huge momentum. The only change in component wise, if I see, though we have been talking about a lot on PSU banks and how some of the PSU banks are doing good, but we are not seeing any formation of long position. The only change price wise where we are a bit confused at this point of time is the moment which we are seeing in ICICI Bank. If you just see on price data and volume data, stock is showing strength, but last 2 days when stock has shown good upside momentum, we haven't seen any rise in open interest, not even 1%, which again confuses us that whether this momentum is sustainable or not. So despite our stop loss getting triggered, and it was a very small stop loss, when you generate a trade around 17,100 and keep a stop loss of 350 points on Nifty, it's a small stop loss. So even if this stop loss has got triggered, it has not changed our view that okay, now Bank Nifty is going to show you significant rally from current levels. So I would refrain from forming any long positions there despite some upside traction seen.
Okay, so in your buy list, you have a buy on Wipro this morning. What's the target you're looking at there?
So Surya, yesterday again the theme, a lot of people were talking about how dollar is going to be strong, and you guys also talking about rate cut. Means I don't think so. There's 100% probability that Fed is going to increase the rate, but in that scenario, you're going to see dollar strengthening, and we are seeing that rupee is also weakening despite people talking that this currency is going to outperform, but still it's weakening. This is going to give sentimental push to a lot of fund managers to move into IT space, We have seen how momentum in Infi is picking up. Though TCS has not shown that kind of momentum, but Wipro has very, very strong support in this range of 550, 560, which it's not breaching, and I feel it may not breach. And we are seeing traces of formation of fresh long positions again in Wipro. So we would suggest to go long here. We have a price target of around 602. A small stop loss of 558 can do, and position traders can trade with positive bias in the stock.
Okay, so that's a buy on Wipro. And let's just wrap up your calls. You have a short call in the Tata Motors DVR as well. There, what are you looking at in terms of a target?
So if you look at DVR, we have seen huge volumes yesterday, and at the same time stock appears, or the underlying appears to be in overbought zone. A stock can remain in a overbought zone for a pretty long period of time, but formation of short positions in FNO, that is compelling us, that one can and this is a high risk trade, so one can think of going short in a range of 298 to 302, fix the stop somewhere around 309. And again, I'm expecting stock to come down to 279. And this, I'm again highlighting, this is a high risk trade because the kind of volume action and the FNO action has happened. The move may be pretty sharp, and it may continue for some more time. So if my call goes wrong, please do follow stop loss. Otherwise, the stock may have strong momentum to continue if stop loss is hit.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Siddharth. Do stay on. Let's welcome Prakash Dewan. He's fought a very bad traffic jam in Dadar. I battled that too, about an hour before you probably. Very unfair. Locking up the flyover and digging up the main road as well. It is completely irresponsible behavior on the part of the municipal authorities. But anyway, before I come to the stock that you have picked for us, which is Ion Exchange, I wanted to ask you about the auto sales number itself. You're such an auto fan. Today the numbers come. M&M has been a standout performer in the month gone by.
Yes.
What will you pick from the pack? Do you still back M&M? More to go?
I guess it's time that M&M probably takes the top slot. Maybe Maruti moves to number 2 now, because we've seen in terms of the stock picking order I'm talking about, not overall sales and all. The reason is M&M has had a very dry long spell of sorts, and that it's kind of just breaking out of that. Especially the TUV has been a very good this thing play, because it's been priced very well. That's what, in hindsight, everybody is kind of realizing for the kind of machine that you're getting. Secondly, Lata, there's a very interesting angle to the GST benefit that M&M is likely to gain. And, what's happened is M&M is the only company which has a very spread out network of utilities and plants. It doesn't have a mega plant in one place, and it's an aggregation of a lot of subsidiaries. So you have, the associate companies, the forging companies, you have SsangYong, which is way out in terms of geography. So for M&M to kind of get the benefit of GST, it's going to be one of the most significant beneficiaries. In fact, there could be possibility that over a period it could save 8 to 10% in terms of the input side. I was just talking about that too briefly, and that is what a lot of people are watching out for. So if that happens, it's going to be such a different environment for M&M to operate, because then it gets pricing power back. So I think the sales number backed with this kind of a potential listing, and there's a lot of institutional activity from exiting out of Maruti, because the profit booking zone is kind of, Maruti is getting slightly ripe of sorts, So whereas Tata Motors is also seeing a consolidation. I'm quite positive on Tata Motors. We discussed that last week, but you couldn't probably see it move to at a scorching pace. But M&M, I look at the activity in the last couple of days. I mean, the stock has seen such volumes happen.
Also, as far as tractors are concerned,
yes,
after many months of degrowth, they're going to show an upward. But Prakash, let's get to your stocks quickly. Ion Exchange is one stock that you're picking today. What's the story there?
So this is, what I had started doing is, given the fact that we could probably have a turnaround on the engineering side, started identifying players there, and this is a standout player in terms of water treatment, environment engineering and things like that. It's a very old company.
Yes.
In fact, too old that people don't remember it. A lot of people are surprised that it's still listed. But it came about as a unit of a British-owned company way back in '85. And now what they've done is they've segregated themselves into very clear verticals. So there's engineering, there's consumer and there's industrial. So you are chemical. So the chemical business has contributed significantly to the bottom line as well this time. And not only are they into, we know all the stuff that they do, export of, wastewater treatment plants, EPC in pharma, food, hydrocarbons, you name it and it's there. Interestingly, the railways have been a big savior for Ion Exchange, and I'll tell you why. If you realize the railway, the PET bottles, the mineral water that you get in railways, is all other brands have been eased out, and there's only something called Rail Neer that you find. It's a in-house brand of the IRCTC. And the idea was that why let anybody else enjoy that margin when we have shelf space? And so all pantries, all stalls on the railway platforms only have to stock this brand. And this brand is being manufactured using units that Ion Exchange is supplying. And the plan is to do 500 such units. They've just started, and it's going to be a mega thing for Ion Exchange. So it's a whole new trajectory. So the railway is getting stronger on the catering side. So if Ion Exchange can do that successfully in the next 2 years, by the way, the last quarter they've seen a 65% plus jump in the bottom line. So they've kicked off operating leverage. The sales is only 12% up. The bottom line is 65% up. So if that continues, and it's a very good management, a very strong conservative management, they've got plans spread out over Gujarat, TN, Andhra Pradesh, Goa, Maharashtra, and one in Sharjah. So it's well diversified, doesn't need capital to grow incrementally. So I think the stock has to get re-rated from here. My target for 390 from the current levels is just about 6 months. It's not even beyond 2 quarters.
All right, Prakash, thanks for that, both on M&M and Ion Exchange. We'll come back to both of you, Mr. Tulsian and you, for more stocks and trading ideas from Shubham and Siddharth. But we need to take a break now. Back in a jiffy, and in a bit we should also get the pre-opening rates.
Welcome back to the show. We have about 3 more minutes left, so we can, I think, get some more discussions going from our guests. Mr. Tulsian, in the month of December, we have some very interesting IPOs from the pharmaceutical space. There's Dr. Lal's Path Labs, which is a 630 crore IPO that will open next week. And there's Alchem Labs as well, which is, I think, a 1400 crore IPO. Any of these that you recommend investors to get into?
See, Sonia, both are opening on 8th December. And, you are right. In fact, I have not taken the financials because the conference of Alchem is due today. They are meeting the press and brokers and all that, analysts today. But if you take a call on both the IPOs are good, but they are very expensive. If you just take a call, I won't be able to give you the advice whether to subscribe and all that. But looking to the financials, if you see, as you have said, Lal Path Lab is a pure OFS. Company is not making any fresh issue. It's pure offer for sale for 632 crore in the band of 540 to 550, and they are offering retail discount of 15 rupees. If you go by the financials, I am again taking the FY15. They had a top line of 650 crore, PAT of 95 crore. So if you take a valuation on a PE basis, it is 41 on FY15. I am taking the fully diluted equity, because actually there is no dilution of the equity, because this is only the offer for sale. Just to clarify, because the equity remains the same. And if you take the valuations on FY16 earning, they are likely to show a growth of about 26 to 28% on the bottom line for FY16 on the estimated basis. So it is at a 36 time P multiple on FY16. Market cap will be about 4500 crore. the company has debt of about 260-270 crore. But what I did not like about the Dr. Lal PathLabs, what I just glanced the documents, that the treasury income or the surplus cash they are yielding very low return, maybe about 6 to 7%. So I think they need to ramp that up. On the core business, yes, they have, and secondly, there are no peer comparison. But I am actually very positive on the pharma related kind of stocks. If you recall, Vimta Lab was the same theme, you know, of the contract research kind of thing. I am very positive on the PathLabs. You know, you have many other in the western region also. In fact, you can say that they have their, you know, presence maybe in each region. They are very strong in the north. In the western region, we have the strong players. So I think they will set the benchmark for the other companies to follow. Maybe the things are looking expensive, but if you want, you can, you know, subscribe. Similar is the case with Alkem Laboratories. And just to touch on the grey market premium, again, both the stocks are having interest in the grey market. Maybe Alkem is having a premium of about 160, while Dr. Lal PathLabs is having a grey market premium of 110, 115. So both the stocks are looking good, but both are expensive. And Alkem Laboratory, I won't be able to give you the financials because the conference is due today. And we need to collate or, you know, extract so many information from the management. So better we hold for that.
Mr. Tulsian, just to get to the opening rates, the pre-opening bell has gone, and it's a very divergent set of numbers that you are getting. So it's a very confused mood. The Asian markets have given us a green, but Indian markets are still balking. Let's wait and see. It's probably just early morning lethargy, and markets will come back. The rupees opened slightly stronger. The ECB rules have been eased. We didn't concentrate so much on that, but foreign borrowing rules have been considerably eased by the Reserve Bank. As it is, the chorus has been that this currency is not really depreciating anytime soon. Even if it goes to 67, it's been there, done that even 2 years ago. So the currency is seeing some strength at this point in time ahead of the credit policy, which is not expected at this moment to cut rates. So that's the rupee will be in focus today when the decision is announced and as the governor speaks. That's the dollar rupee for you. One of the standout currencies. I think the depreciation this year is so much lower. It's less than 5% compared to most other currencies of a comparable class, which have fallen between 10 and 30%. If you look at the rand, ruble, real, and the whole host of comparable currencies. So that's the rupee for you. The stock markets now shifting more to the green. So like the Asian indices, you are seeing more green on the Nifty as well. Well, it's a mix of stocks: Tata Power, Vedanta, Tech Mahindra, Bharti, all of them starting. Bharti is not getting punished for that very big expansion plan that they have announced, 60,000 crore. I thought there may be some bit of a punishment coming their way, as came Idea's way when they bought those circles from Videocon. But at the moment, it's a very quiet pre-market opening. Maybe we'll just wait for the markets to settle down and then come back and discuss stocks, come back and read out the stock prices for you. Well, Prakash, you have another company with a slightly unpronounceable name. I will go to the newer name, Integra Engineering, but Schlafhorst Engineering is a stock you have picked. Yeah,
so Schlafhorst, you know, is of German origin, as it very clearly sounds. So it's a Mafatlal Group company that is into textile manufacturing. That's a very specialized area. So there are hardly any Indian players who have really, you know, grown in that, except for a few in the south that Tulsian sir has mentioned a couple of times. So you know that segment is very powerful. But what's happened in the last few years, you know, the import substitution hasn't been very positive, so these companies have languished. But interestingly, this company taken over another company from the engineering side, which was called Integra Hindustan Controls Limited. Now, this was an ABB associate, was formed with a JV between ABB and Indian investors, and it was into making control systems for railways primarily. Now look at what's happening. So this Schlafhorst today is a business that caters to verticals like textile, railways, power, transport, and none of these you would say are not doing well. So it's such a positive zone that it suddenly found itself into after 3 bad years. Last 3 years they didn't have anything. They've had layoffs, they've shut down plants, but suddenly in the last 2 quarters they've kind of started turning around. And the kind of clientele that they have, they've been servicing the likes of Bombardier, Crompton Greaves, a lot of textile majors like Arvind. The order book that suddenly they are seeing is so huge they're saying we'll have to raise ourselves to capacities which were, which are double of what 3 years back we had. So they're scrambling all over the place to, expand, and the way things look up, I think, so if you look at EPS and all that, it's hardly anything. I mean, it looks very deceptive. But the turnaround happened in these 2 quarters, and you'll start seeing, my guess is they'll probably close with about 1.82 rupees of EPS this year. So the discounting also is not very high. It's got a decent market cap of about 115 crores. And most interestingly, the supply to the railways that these guys had, there's absolutely no competition they are doing, and this is all signaling instrumentation, which the government is very keen on changing. So, and the implementation there is not as delayed as your physical infrastructure in railways. You can do that changes much faster than laying tracks and wagons and all that. So I mean, you're staring at a company that's right in the middle of all the action, and it's priced so well. It's a turnaround story, so people need to take it with a little bit of pinch of salt on the numbers, and have faith and hope that this will actually move the way we are expecting. So my sense is you could probably see it double in probably the next year or so.
Okay, double in the next year or so. That's the view coming in on Integra Engineering. But a couple of these railway stocks are also looking good, since Prakash did speak about the railway sector. Names like Titagarh Wagons, Kalindi Rail, etc. are all moving up once again. Remember, the Indian Railways have signed 2 big contracts with Alstom and GE Transportation with a combined value of 45,000 crores. So there's a sentiment bump up that you're seeing across the entire sector.
Actually, I wanted to ask Shubham if he tracks any of these stocks. Bunch of rail-related mid-caps. Shubham, do they show up on the charts as something on which you would punt?
First, I'd like to place a disclaimer that we don't officially cover any of these stocks, but if I just have to, give it an overview, I think among the names that we just discussed, Titagarh Wagon is looking better on the chart, and I think if someone is already holding on to the position, they can continue to do so with a stop loss at 138, and on the upside, 170 to 172 is very much likely on the short-term time frame.
Okay, and separately, Shubham, I wanted to ask you about IDBI Bank. I mean, everyone finds new reasons to buy IDBI Bank. There is clearly the government intent to make it less of a government bank and more of a kind of a private sector bank like Axis. As well, now they own a decent amount of stake in the National Stock Exchange, and SEBI rules now allow exchanges to be listed. So a lot of fundamental news is going their way. Where are the charts going?
Yeah, I think that is the reason why we have seen, a completely different movement that we are seeing in IDBI if we compare to the other mid-cap banks and how they are placed. So I think, it's very much there in the price, and we have been witnessing continuous breakout happening there. So after a very long consolidation, we have again seen a good follow-up move coming in yesterday. So I think, on a short-term scale, maybe 1 to 1.5 months is what we can expect, and 110 is what we are expecting, where, IDBI can move up to. So I think it makes sense to actually go and take a few long positions there, because we don't see it behaving like other mid-cap banks, which is most of a consolidating in nature. So I think for this view to play out, 85 can be kept as a stop loss for this long trade, and 110 to 112 is what we expect within a time frame of about a month.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on IDBI Bank. The pre-opening rates are settled slightly higher, so 79.56 on the Nifty, up about 0.2%. A couple of these auto names are looking good. Tata Motors, Hero MotoCorp, ahead of the auto sales, are up and about. Siddharth, before we let you go, if you had to pick up one auto stock to trade today, which one would it be?
So there's a huge trade yesterday happened in Maruti, and we clearly saw that even in option segment there was quite a build up. 47 and 4800 calls were quite active, and looking at the overall structure of the stock, I don't think so that Maruti is going above these resistance of 47, 48 anytime soon. This stock is sell and rise for us, and this is a contra bet. DVR, Tata Motors DVR, I mentioned that is also a counter where I would short.
All right. Well, let's digress back to the credit policy for a bit, because our colleague Nayantara Rai in Delhi has been speaking to top government sources and what they are picking up from the Reserve Bank, or expecting from the Reserve Bank, or know what the Reserve Bank will do. Nayantara, what have you picked up? I saw some flashes running about it being unfair to expect a rate cut.
Good morning, Lata. That's exactly what government sources, senior government sources are indicating. It will be very unfair to expect Governor Rajan to cut rates today. We did see that surprise 50 basis point rate cut, which if you recall, we called it the early Diwali gift from the governor, right, on CNBC TV18. So he's done a poll of economists and market watchers who are not expecting a rate cut. And it would seem the government is also not expecting a rate cut. Let's also not forget that, this information coming after India's Q2 GDP data came out at 7.4%. Perhaps the government feeling enthused that India is growing faster than China. Manufacturing data coming in at 9.3%, etc. But more importantly, what I also understood was from my sources was that right now efforts are on to ensure that previous rate cuts are actually transferred to the benefit is transferred to the consumers. Since that has not taken place, and efforts right now from the RBI and the government will also be to reduce NPAs so consumers can enjoy the previous rate cuts.
All right, so let's see if the governor decides to unleash his rebellious streak and defy everyone with a rate cut. Don't see that happening today though. But Lata, you're on your way to the policy.
Yes, the process, just for those who are not familiar with it, we are put into a room and given the policy about half an hour before it's read out by the governor. We are allowed to take a look at it, and all our cell phones, everything is taken away. No communication with the external world. You can't go to the washroom. You give that in writing to the Reserve Bank once you get into that room. And then at 11, we are allowed to read out in the camera, and the governor speaks at 11:10. I think the rate cut cannot be the only reason why you listen to the Reserve Bank. There is a whole host of things that you will look forward to, especially because, 30% of the Sensex of the Nifty is banking sector, financial sector, and anything about stressed assets, about the value of the rupee, all these impacts, stocks in so many ways. So it will be a very rich conversation from 11:10 to 11:50 at the press conference, and of course this time the governor speaks exclusively to the channel.
Oh, yes.
At 4:30 we will have an exclusive chat with the governor as well. So interesting day to look forward to.
Oh yes, and rate cut or no rate cut, I can assure you everyone's going to be listening to the Reserve Bank governor. But thanks, Lata. We'll be looking forward to that interaction. That is when it happens, 4:30 p.m. today. It's a CNBC 18 exclusive, the chat with Raghuram Rajan, the governor of the RBI. Alright, well, let's get back to the markets. As we were telling you, looks like the market will inch up higher in early morning trade. That's what the SGX, or that's what the pre-opening rate is suggesting, 79.58 right now. Let's get you some more trading strategies from our experts in our Bullseye segment.
My first call is buy call in Voltas at the rate 288, place a stop loss at 280 and look for the target of around 295. My second call is buy call in Arvind at the rate 317, place a stop loss at 310 and look for the target of around 330. My third call is sell call in Ashok Leyland at the rate 95, place a stop loss at 98 and look for the target of around 90. And my last call is sell call in Tata MTR DVR at the rate 298, place a stop loss at 305 and look for the target of around 290.
My first recommendation is to buy on Marksans Pharma for target price of 105 and a stop loss of 98. My second recommendation is to buy on DLF for a target price of 118 and a stop loss of 112. My third recommendation is to sell on JSW Energy for target price of 83, a stop loss of 88.5. And my last recommendation is to sell on Crompton Greaves for target price of 188 and a stop loss of 196.
First is long call on Ratan Power, formerly known as India Bull Power, with stop loss at 11 rupee 15 paisa, target price of 12 rupees. Second is long call on Arshia Limited, with stop loss at 48, target price of 52 rupees. Third is long call on Zen Technology, with stop loss at 83, target price of 89. Fourth and final is carry forward long call on Jindal Steel and Power, with stop loss at 89, target price of 95 rupees.
All right, well, we have 1.5 minutes more to go, so let's quickly get one stock recommendation from Mr. Tulsian. Mr. Tulsian, BF Utilities is something you're recommending.
See, Sonia, let me quickly explain this. This is a holding company, and in fact, you can say that they are owning the Bangalore-Mysore corridor project. In fact, people have not understood very correctly. They review the quarterly results, but there is no point in taking the quarterly results, because on a standalone, it's a 200 crore balance sheet. On a consolidated, it's 2200 crore balance sheet. But let me just quickly give you that they are holding 74.5% in that Bangalore-Mysore corridor. And it is a 160 kilometer on 20,193 acres of land. And if you divide that, they have a 41 kilometer peripheral road along the Bangalore. And that is the prime property, which is connecting NH4 and NH7. And on this 164 kilometer road, they will be developing 5 townships also. And in fact, what this 100 smart city concept which we are hearing has been conceptualized, visualized and conceived by them much earlier. And if you go by the track record, first phase of that of 64 kilometers is already on. The company is already executing, and that has partly reflected into the FY15 numbers also. Because FY15 had an EPS of 16 rupees, which was negative 15 rupees for whole of FY14. I am referring it on a consolidated basis. And if you see the tiny equity of 19 crore with a face value of rupees 10 on a consolidated basis of market cap 2400 crore, debt of 2000 crore, I think this holds a very large promise, very rich assets, and the concession period is 40 years. And apart from that, they have these wind energy projects, they have some toll road projects also. I am not taking valuations of that. But if somebody can take a call, I think 950 is a target in 6 months. But I see it really multi-bagger, moving to maybe 1500, 2000 in next couple of years.
All right, that is bang on time. Thanks, Mr. Tulsian, for that. The market is open for the day, and it's opened in the green. 79.59 is the upside that we're seeing on the index, up about 0.3%. The Bank Nifty is flat, but there is a positive bias over there. Let's quickly take you through the top gainers on the index. Vedanta is up almost about 2%. It has a couple of other metal names for companies. So Hindalco is also up, so is Tata Steel. There's a bit of a trade on the upside there. The other space looking good this morning is the cement space. So you have Ultratech Cement that's up in the green. Ambuja Cement has opened up with a positive tick as well. And I think I saw ACC, the first tick on that was also in the green, up about 0.3%. So metal and cement are not bad. You do have the FMCG space, HUL and ITC, that are both in the green as well. So both those stocks are up almost about 1%. From the technology space, Wipro is up almost about 1.7%, and DRL from pharmaceuticals is up in the green too. So those are the list of gainers. Not too many losers really, so the market opening has been good. On the losing end, you have Bharti that's slightly under pressure because of the reasons we alluded to a while back. Maruti Suzuki is down about 0.3%, and so is Hero MotoCorp. So let's see what they deliver in terms of sales numbers today. And Yes Bank is slightly in the red, although not too much, down just about 0.2%. But this is a decent opening for the market, where you have 4:1, so 4 stocks in favor of the advances, while 1 in favor of declines. So the trend is positive. Rima?
Yes, indeed. The mid-cap index is currently higher by nearly 0.5%. To take you through some of the big winners, Munjal Auto has started with a gain of nearly 18 to 19%, so keep your eye on that. IVRCL continues with its up move, so today it's gained close to about 5.5%. Amtech Auto has bounced back. Yesterday it was under pressure after coming out with a weak set of earnings, a loss in the quarter gone by. So Amtech Auto is holding up marginally in the green. IDBI Bank continues to hit fresh highs, so it's gained another 1%. The decks have been cleared for at least the IPOs of stock exchanges, and IDBI Bank holds some stake in NSC. So that's one stock you need to track. Keep your eye out on Treehouse Education. It's lost nearly 50% of its market cap in this month itself, and now the company has clarified to the exchanges, saying that the receivables position has come down to 27 crore versus 63 crore as of September. They are planning to reduce their overall debtors. There are no new additions that they're planning, at least in terms of K-12 schools, and compared to their net worth of 679 crore, their debt is only 30 crore, while the operating EBITDA was at 74 crore in the first half of FY16. So they're trying to allay investor concerns about the high receivables position. That stock continues to remain weak, but at least it's come out of the lower circuits that it was hitting over the last few days. Other than that, on the losing side, Sri Renuka's week was under pressure yesterday as well. Future Retail has seen some profit taking from its 52-week high it hit yesterday. and some losers are seen in the form of Tata Motors, DVR, Reliance Communication. But net, not a bad start. It's a gain of 0.3% on the Nifty Sensex, 0.5% on the mid-cap index.
All right, Anuj is also here with us. Anuj, decent opening for the market, 79.60 is holding. Given that, we don't have any major cue, the RBI policy is also expected to be a non-event. What's the trajectory looking like?
Yeah, so again, I'm not too concerned about Nifty anyway. The call was on the mid caps. In that, Sonia, now you're beginning to get a bit worried because the BSE advanced decline ratio is now approaching 5:1. The NSE advanced decline ratio is 4:1. But in the BSE list now you're beginning to see a lot of stocks rallying which you would not want to see, or which you normally see towards the fag end of a mid-cap rally. So that's the reason to be a bit worried. I mean, I'm just looking at the top gainers, ICSA India, then there's SRS. I mean, there's so many names, GTL Infra,
Sujana Towers,
so many Ray Agro, so many penny stocks now moving up.
I saw that yesterday as well, Anuj. The top list of gainers are the same guys who've lost about 30-40% in this year.
The problem with the mid-cap rally is that there are only a few names that you can keep buying. Beyond that, once you see so much rally in the broader market, then you start to see low quality stocks also start to rally, and that is where normally when you raise a bit of a red flag. As of now, of course, not to say that the market cannot move up from here, but it won't hurt you to maybe book some profit, or maybe just don't overstay your welcome in some of these names if you've been lucky enough. But the Bank Nifty is a bit soft, which is quite interesting ahead of the policy. If the policy is supposed to be non-event, then why should the Bank Nifty be sulking so much? So that's something to watch out for as well. But yes, I mean, I'll be watching out for the mid-cap index.
Purely for people who track index levels, how much of a resistance is 8,000 going to be on the Nifty? For instance, we were outperforming the Asian markets. We outperformed Hang Seng by nearly 4% in the last 3 trading sessions, and today we are underperforming. Is it because the index is hitting a resistance?
Yes, that is because of that, and 8,000 is also the 50-day moving average. And 8,000 also, if you see the chart of the Nifty, 8,000 would also be important because the pattern for the lower highs for the market has been from 9,100 and 8,600 and 8,300. So that way 8,000 is also important, and 8,000 to 8,300 is where the Nifty has all its important moving averages, 8,000 being the first important one, the 50-day moving average. But my sense is that there will be at least one attempt to take this out. It will take time, but there will be attempt to at least take this out once to see if this is a big resistance, or if you have the firepower to take this out. But yes, it's an important resistance mark.
All right, Anuj, thanks for that. Well, today, a lot of the heavyweights are supporting the market. So whether it's HUL, TCS, ITC, all of them, ICICI Bank, are up about 0.5% or so. Good time to then get you a quick recap of Shubham Agarwal's stocks for today. He has 2 buy calls, including Bosch, that he's decided to give a buy call on, a target of 21,000 and a stop loss of 17,500. He also has a buy on Petronet LNG, which carries a target of 255 and a stop loss of 224. He has 2 sell calls. First one is on Lupin, where he places the target at 1670 and a stop loss at 1875. And the second one is on Just Dial, where he sees a target of 760 and a stop loss at 984 rupees.
Okay, let's recap Siddharth Bhamre's recommendations also for today. He started off with 2 short calls. So the first one is on Reliance Industries, where his target stands at 928 and stop loss is to be placed at 983. The next short call is on Tata Motors DVR, which carries a target of 279 and a stop loss at 309. Siddharth is bullish on Wipro, where his target is to be placed at 602 and stop loss at 558.
Okay, let's move on now and get our market master for the